A pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity, whereas an optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty.
Optimism sometimes can get so delusional.
So मैले मेरो दिमागमा future outcome is always positive भन्यो भने I am going to dive into it without no fear.
We started talking about pessimism and optimism, and here we are finding common ground.
Oh yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Kritisha.
And I am Aditya.
And we'd like to welcome you all to Dhikichyau the podcast, episode 8. So today we'll be talking about pessimism and optimism, whether the glass is half empty or half full, right?
Mara Kritisha, we always talk about this, and I always come off as the optimist, and Kritisha always comes up as the pessimist one among us. And we always had this debate about, how like optimism is being alikati ignorant and alikati it's a bit decisive,
naive,
delusional.
Delusional, yes, yeah. Also delusional.
Whereas मलाई pessimism भन्ने बित्तिकै the only thing I have in my mind is having negative thoughts and all those things. So today we're kind of trying to find a common ground and see where we end up. So that's where this topic came about.
Yeah.
So okay, let's start off with optimism.
Yeah, optimism. Wow. Let's start from the happy side.
Alright, so अब मैले चाहिँ typically optimism को बारेमा कुरा गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ how we understand it and how I used to understand it before I kind of delve into यो हुन्छ नि technical नभनौँ हल्का यो रिसर्चर्सहरूले भन्ने कुराहरू. तर normally हामीले कुरा गर्दाखेरि हामीले के बुझ्छ optimism भन्दाखेरि having positive thoughts and having a positive outlook to life, अनि जे कुरा पनि राम्रो भन्ने positive भन्ने नै हुन्छ नि त. So that is what we understand by being optimist, हैन. तर हामीले यो मैले रिसर्च गरेको अनुसार चाहिँ तिमी अप्टिमिस्ट भनेर क्यारेक्टराइज गर्नु चाहिँ यु मस्ट ह्याभ लाइक हुन्छ नि दुईटा चाहिँ एउटा ट्रेट हुँदो रहेछ के हाउ अप्टिमिस्टहरू चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ भनेर हैन. सो साइकाइट्रिस्टहरूले साइकोलोजिस्टहरूले कसरी यो डिफाइन गर्छ भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ अप्टिमिस्ट आर द पिपल हु जसले चाहिँ लङ टर्ममा राम्रो हुन्छ भनेर दे हेभ अ पोजिटिभ एक्सपिरियन्स अबाउट वान्स फ्युचर भन्छ क्या एक्सप्लेनेसन अर एक्सपेक्टेसन्स अबाउट वान्स फ्युचर भन्छ होइन. सो मेरो आफ्नो फ्युचरको बारेमा चाहिँ आई हेभ अ पोजिटिभ आउटलुक. सो अहिले मेरो केही नराम्रो भइरहेछ छ भने पनि इन द फ्युचर इट्स गन बी राम्रो भनेर चाहिँ मैले त्यसरी पर्सिभ गर्छु होइन. सो इफ आई एम अ अप्टिमिस्ट आइ एम गन पर्सिभ थिङ्स लाइक द्याट, वेयर एज इफ आई एम अ पेसिमिस्ट आइ एम गन पर्सिभ द्याट मलाई लाइफमा अहिले नराम्रो भइरहेछ भने दिस इज गोइङ टु बी पर्मानेन्ट, द्याट इट इज गोइङ टु गो अन फर एभर होइन. अनि मलाई पछि पनि त्यो राम्रो हुन्छ भनेर चाहिँ आई डोन्ट ह्याभ अ पोजिटिभ आउटलुक भनेर चाहिँ भन्छ होइन पेसिमिस्टहरूको. अनि अर्को चाहिँ एक्सप्लेनेटोरी स्टाइल भन्छ होइन, हाउ यु एक्सप्लेन द इभेन्ट्स द्याट ह्यापन इन यर लाइफ है. सो अप्टिमिस्टहरू चाहिँ हाउ दे एक्सप्लेन थिङ्स इज सपोज इफ मेरो एक्जाम नराम्रो भयो योपालि, इफ आई गेट लाइक bad grades, then optimists are, let's say, how would they explain that particular situation is exam गाह्रो थियो, हामीलाई नपढाएको क्वेसन्सहरू दियो कि त प्रोफेसर अति नै हावा मान्छे हो or like हुन्छ नि that योपालि भएन. Okay, it's just like योपालि there were some situations that did not play out well होइन. तर next time it's not the fault with me, it's not that I am not intelligent, next time same exam भयो भने I'm going to do much better भनेर चाहिँ त्यसरी आउटलुक हुन्छ क्या. So those are two things that define an optimist. So one is their one's expectation about their future.
I can totally imagine you ranting right after exams here.
What?
Right after exams, I can totally imagine you ranting about all those things. Paper is so gaह्रो थियो यार, यस्तो इन्भिजिलेटर यस्तो थियो यार भनेर. Yeah, that's true about optimists. What about pessimists though?
So pessimistहरूले चाहिँ अब त्यही कुरामा एक्सप्लेनेटरी स्टाइलमा चाहिँ के गर्छ भन्दा चाहिँ दे ब्लेम देमसेल्भ्स भन्छ क्या. सो इफ द एक्जाममा तिनीहरूले इफ दे डु ब्याड दे विल से द्याट मैले नराम्रो गरे हो, मेबी आई एम डम होइन, दे टेक इट पर्सनली क्या. मेबी आई एम डम, म कहिले पनि राम्रो गर्नु सक्दिनँ हुन्छ नि म जहिले पनि एक्जाम बिगार्छु मैले जति पढे पनि मैले सक्दिनँ भनेर चाहिँ आउटलुक हुन्छ भन्छ क्या त्यसरी चाहिँ द्याट इज हाउ दे एक्सप्लेन थिङ्स भनेर चाहिँ भन्छ है सो दोज आर द मेन टु डिफरेन्सेस बिट्विन अप्टिमिस्ट एन्ड पेसिमिस्ट लाइक डेफिनेसन वाइज है सो एउटा चाहिँ वान्स आउटलुक टु फ्युचर अनि अर्को चाहिँ एक्सप्लेनेटोरी स्टाइल सो त्यो दुईवटा कुरा भयो ओके वाट इज योर डेफिनेसन
I agree to your definition somewhat, not entirely. Pessimist people are the ones who would, focus on the bad side, who do think that the bad probably outweighs the good one. And I feel like if you look around the world, if you look around your environment, that's somewhat true. Look at the amount of racism that's happening. Look at the amount of sexism that's happening. People are they don't even mind wearing a mask. Aba Nepalma ta maybe the rate is ali kam haina tara bahira there are people who think climate change is a hoax and all that bullshit on coronavirus so I feel like if this isn't shit I don't know what is shit ke so I do agree to the fact that there are a lot of bad things happening out there one and also the tinute wala part bhanne ni explanatory wala kura about how pessimist would blame themselves aba testo huncha ni depressing way ma pani nahuna sakcha like you said huncha ni ma ta ke garnai sakdina types but then blaming yourself tyo duita scenario ma where you're blaming other people and you're blaming yourself I think blaming yourself would be better in the long run you identifying your own mistakes and your weaknesses would be better off than always putting it in aruko shoulders aruharlai blame गर्ने कुरा भन्दा चाहिँ I feel like I'd rather blame myself than blaming others for it khaliko ke so long term ma चाहिँ I definitely feel that pessimism would make more sense जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई चाहिँ personally
long term I do not agree to that तर तिमीले जुन चाहिँ you talked about all the things that are going on in the world and you talked about I know racism and sabai kura ills in the society bhanum na take that as a compilation हैन अनि I think to actually make a difference you need to have a positive outlook towards the future so that you can work towards achieving that के pessimist भयो भने you just have this is the way it is हुन्छ नि everything is so messed up हुन्छ नि यस्तै हो what's the point खाली मा पुग्छ जस्तो लाग्छ के अनि यसको चाहिँ मलाई एकदमै राम्रो एक्जाम्पल अहिले आयो भने जुन चाहिँ डक्टर किङ मार्टिन लुथर किङको जुन चाहिँ त्यो स्पिच थियो नि हुन्छ नि आई हेभ अ ड्रिम वाला द्याट इज द मोस्ट अप्टिमिस्ट हुन्छ नि अप्टिमिस्ट स्पिच एभर के अनि त्यो स्पिचले गर्दाखेरि वी रिच्ड यतासम्म भनेर चाहिँ मलाई लाग्छ के त्यो एउटा स्पिच काइन्ड अफ हुन्छ नि ले गर्दाखेरि फर द्याट पिरियड अफ टाइम त इट वाज अनथिङ्केबल के हुन्छ नि द थिङ्स द्याट इज सेड इन द्याट स्पिच हुन्छ नि द्याट वाज कस्तो अप्टिमिस्टिक कुराहरू के विच वाज नट ह्यापनिङ राइट देयर एन्ड देन हुन्छ नि बट इट वाज अ अप्टिमिस्टिक पोइन्ट अफ भ्यू द्याट सम डे इन द फ्युचर that will happen भनेर which अहिले हेर्दाखेरि somewhat it has होइन obviously it's not the best of the things तर it's come a long way नि त होइन तर pessimist will still choose to see the negatives in that whereas optimist might seem to यहाँसम्म आयो नि त खाली but then there's always a long way to go so I think we need that kind of optimism to go forward to see a brighter future and make plans and thrive towards getting there जस्तो चाहिँ मलाई लाग्छ है अनि मलाई यसको अनदर मलाई यसको मलाई अनदर एकदमै अप्टिमिजम र पेसिमिजमको एकदमै डिफाइन गर्ने अर्को एउटा कोट चाहिँ होइन विन्स्टन चर्चिलको थियो क्या सो विन्स्टन चर्चिल वन्स सेड होइन A pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity, whereas an optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. So I think for me, this defines optimism and pessimism the best. Okay? So this is a very good explanation, a very good definition.
Yeah, I agree, man. Martin Luther King quote that was अति नै phenomenal speech there, and I agree to that part about pessimism. I mean optimism हुन्छ नि how it gives the hope खालीको कुरा. But I feel optimism sometimes can get so delusional, People can get so engulfed in, oh, it's okay, it's fine, हुन्छ नि. अब मेरो privilege, अब even when we talk about privilege or whatever, हुन्छ नि, like त्यो होइन, it's fine, it's going good, like let's be hopeful भनेर people miss out to do that things that's not there के हुन्छ नि. Like optimist, like it's good to lead होइन, तर when it goes in the larger scale, I feel like people become more passive जस्तो लाग्छ क्या optimist भयो भने. त्यो optimism like हुन्छ नि, at one point त्यो scale धेरै भएपछि त्यो expectationsहरू नै it becomes so unrealistic क्या. So मलाई चाहिँ like यो unrealistic expectation चाहिँ I feel like media and all that also has a lot to do होइन. अब even if you talk about हुन्छ नि यो there was this point in time where I read this Nicholas Sparks book क्या हुन्छ नि, like romantic novel खालेकै थियो, but then it was like so optimistic, so हुन्छ नि fairy tale-ish के, like the guy in that book would be military मा गएको हुन्छ नि, बबाल body भएको, would be good with your family, who is good with your friends, does not have any anger management issues, has a very good pet and is very friendly with your pet. Like bro that was like so unrealistic क्या. अनि त्यसले like हुन्छ नि, I mean त्यसले like त्यो build गर्ने एउटा perspective हुन्छ नि, त्यो नै it becomes so delusional क्या. So when you're getting into a relationship next time, you look for त्यस्तै खालेको मान्छे नि त, and you don't find त्यस्तो मान्छे because that's an depiction of a perfect person क्या. And people are not perfect, everyone has flaws. So मलाई चाहिँ personally I do agree to the fact that optimism ले like त्यो हुन्छ नि vision दिने खाले कुरा चाहिँ yeah it has done होइन, तर त्यो long run मा चाहिँ it becomes like त्यो mass मा जाँदाखेरि चाहिँ it becomes अलि delusional, अलि हुन्छ नि expectation एकदम high गराउने त्यो भएको भएर चाहिँ मलाई अलिकति realistic चाहिँ लाग्दैन क्या being too optimistic also. And also like I feel like pessimism leverages out of fear पनि के. Pessimism हुन्छ नि, like
what do you mean?
People like, I mean for an example, like you remember when we were like kids and we used to have like यति धेरै assignment for दसैँ तिहार, 30 दिनको लागि दिएको assignment भोलि स्कुल जानु छ भने आज रातभर बसेर गर्छ नि त. That's the power of fear क्या. त्यो deadline ले गर्दा हुन्छ नि, you don't want to be successful because you really crave for success but you fear that you'll become mediocre भन्ने कुरा क्या. I feel like pessimism चाहिँ leverages a lot better from fear क्या than will ever be able to खालेको क्या. So I feel like त्यसले गर्दा पनि pessimist peopleहरू चाहिँ like डरले भए पनि they do things जस्तो के.
Okay. Yeah. So तिमीले अघि त्यो जुन कपल्सहरुको कुरा गरिरहेको थियो नि द निकोलस स्पार्कको नोभल्सहरुमा. So मैले हिजो रिसर्च गर्दाखेरि पनि I found something similar where like relationshipहरुको पनि कुरा गर्छ के about optimism and how it plays out in a romantic relationship भनेर. अनि तिमीले भनेको कुरा चाहिँ is like एकदमै true हैन, because though एउटा positive attitude भयो पनि it works good towards like a relationship, तर being overly optimist you will have like एकदमै धेरै expectationsहरु के हुन्छ नि, मेरो पार्टनर यस्तो हुन्छ, he's gonna do this, she's gonna do this, यताउति भनेर. अनि त्यो expectation is not that kind of expectation कसैको लागि पनि त्यो fulfill गर्नु is not possible के, and that's what leads to relationship problems हैन. So तिमीले भनेको त्यो कुरा just clicked के हिजो मैले रिसर्च गरेको कुराहरुमा. So makes sense.
Yeah.
Ani, what were you saying?
Yeah, I was adding on to the fear wala part ke. Yo fear wala thing pani huncha ni. When I think about how fear is so powerful, I also it takes me back to Dark Knight Rises. There is this really powerful scene. Third, if anyone hasn't seen the movie, you've been warned. But the movie you remember that part where Bruce Wayne is like thrown in the pit, in the cell, and in the middle of nowhere, he's like thrown there, ni. And like he tries to get out of that pit हैन पुरा त्यो डोरी बानेर अनि चढेर he tries to make that leap नि पुरा त्यो जम्प गर्न खोजिरहेको हुन्छ नि अनि he constantly fails हैन अनि लास्टमा यस्तो फ्रस्ट्रेटेड भएर he's like बसिरहेको हुन्छ अनि there is this other guy in the prison cell हैन the blind guy अनि उले चाहिँ भन्छ के like you're not being able to make that leap because you don't have fear भनेर भन्छ क्या अनि Bruce is like no of course I have fear I fear that my city is going to burn down while I rot here भनेर भन्छ नि त अनि then the blind guy is like if you really fear that you should make the leap without the rope भन्छ क्या and then fear will find you भन्छ क्या so I feel like that's one of the most powerful scenes हुन्छ नि how fear can play in your part क्या and I at that point I felt like हुन्छ नि maybe superheroes are not superheroes because of their power they're superheroes because they don't have an option क्या बुझेन the only option is like them saving the world क्या त्यो fearले नै हुन्छ नि and I feel like that is pessimism यार like हुन्छ नि you're leveraging from the power of fear क्या so I feel like that was like really powerful हुन्छ नि that entire idea
मलाई तर त्यो चाहिँ लाइक कम्प्लिटली तिमीले अब आई डोन्ट नो हाउ यु आर डिफाइनिङ पेसिमिजम होइन तर या मेक सेन्स होइन अनि द सिमिलर थिङमा चाहिँ मलाई अर्को इक्जाम्पल चाहिँ के आयो भन्दाखेरि पहिले वेयर यु नो वेन यु इन विथ आई डोन्ट नो एक्ज्याक्टली इफ दे वर लाइक द रोमन्स अर द एन्ड डिफ्रेन्ट जस पहिले वारमा जाँदाखेरि दे युज टु गो अन सिप्स होइन इन्भेड गर्नलाई and they would burn down their own ships. So the only way that they would leave alive is if they conquered the place. Okay? So war ko lai jana theri when they went on ships, they would like land on the island and then like burn down their own ships.
Okay.
But so timle bhaneko jastै के the
okay.
So the only option would be for them to win. Okay? If they wanted to see their families again, if they wanted to go back to their homes again, their only option would be to win. You know, so timle bhaneko jasto maybe it's not courage, but the fear to like huncha ni of having no option. Okay?
Yeah. No, I mean like how I'm trying to connect this with pessimism is courage or fear. Ma, which one do you think is pessimist? I know. Fear would be pessimist के so how pessimism leverages out of fear जस्तो कुरा के म चाहिँ like सोच्दाखेरि I was thinking about this के कसरी चाहिँ like pessimism ले it like leverage गर्यो भनेर because if you're an optimistic you wouldn't want to be scared you would want to be हुन्छ नि cushioned and you want to be like you know thinking happy thoughts खालेको नि त
Not exactly. I think you have a very wrong idea about optimism. Optimism is just having a positive outlook to the future. Okay? Like कस्तो भन्दाखेरि हैन तिमीले जुन चाहिँ त्यो war को कुरा गर्यो मैले जस्तो war को कुरा गर्यो अनि तिमीले you talked about how Batman like हुन्छ नि Bruce Wayne like jump गरेको without the rope हैन अनि त्यसमा चाहिँ I would connect that with optimism how because like हुन्छ नि म जित्छु भनेरै गयो भने you will win जस्तो लाग्छ क्या so the optimist in them would be I am going to win हैन त्यो मेन्टालिटीले गयो भने like because I would always optimismले always would see the positive outcome of every situation के so मैले मेरो दिमागमा future outcome is always positive भन्यो भने I am going to dive into it without no fear के बुझ्यो so I think about you I think you're doing these situations
it's a little debatable
it is a little debatable you know so I think your optimism and pessimism भन्दाखेरि पनि it's a bit different you know but then like मैले चाहिँ I would always अब केही कुरा पनि गर्दाखेरि that would be how an optimist will go into it okay so तिमीले जुन delusional and त्योहरु पनि कुरा गरे नि हैन that makes a lot of sense because like if you're overly optimist हैन you will एउटा point हुन्छ के being optimist and being positive is एउटा point but after that त्यो point एउटा fine line cross गरेपछि it goes into being delusional ignorant you know about everything that's going on around the world you can't be like you it's a very empowering and good thing to have a positive thought about humanity you know someday you know I have a dream that someday, you know, humans, every one of us will come together and realize how big of a deal climate change is and how big of a deal हाम्रो social structure is and everything हुन्छ नि हाम्रो society को structure अनि like the caste system and everything हुन्छ नि and some like one day will come where all of us will like live together in peace and I don't know, there'll be no poverty, there'll be no wars, you know. So that is a good positive thinking, you know. But then being ignorant and saying that Haina, thik cha, we've come a long way, everything is going good, you know. Like, you know, abo kehi nagare pani, you know, we're gonna have a good life, we're gonna do like huncha ni, the world is gonna be fine, we're gonna have a good life, huncha ni. त्यो भयो भने I think you are living in a delusional head, हैन तिमी आफै दिमागमा आफ्नो सानो planet बनाएर बसिरा जस्तो लाग्छ. So I think there's a fine line between being optimist and being delusional.
Yeah, that's true. How I see it is, well, even though I would consider myself as pessimist, and I do agree to so many ideologies or so many examples that तिमीले अहिले भन्यौ पनि हैन optimist को त्यो जुन philosophy छ नि, I agree to that. So like how I see it is like optimism would fuel your car, but pessimism would like put a brake when you need it. Get it?
Yeah, kind of.
It would like, yeah. I mean, you can't be you can't be just extremes, Nita. No matter how much we, you know, discuss about optimism and pessimism, we always land in the gray area. Okay? It's never white or black. So that's that. But I don't know, man. Pessimism makes more sense to me somehow. But even if you think about stoicism ko philosophies are it's like when someone first listens to stoic philosophy, they would be like, oh, this is so pessimist, because like stoic about exercise or like when you're like holding someone you really love, you need to think of them as someone who is mortal, someone who will die. So stoicism that is one of the exercise in the like when you're about to kiss your wife or your husband, imagine that they're mortal beings, that they will die someday. But bro, think about it, if you do that, think about the amount of gratitude you're gonna have for them. Okay? Think about how presently you're gonna live. Okay? And again, connecting this with optimism, like optimist or futuristic. That's what optimistic or they always live in the future. Oh, it's gonna be good. Oh, it's gonna be nice. But you're supposed to live in the present, bro. Like timro ahileको present moment accumulate bhaएर नै पछि future बन्ने हो. So what's the point of you always thinking about the future if you can't live in the present? That's my form of pessimist, pessimism. So stoic philosophy again might sound very harsh and very negative, but it's actually so like राम्रो, it's training you to be the best. I feel like if people think that stoic is अति extreme, then you're the kind of person who needs to go through stoicism more. जस्तो लाग्छ क्या मलाई चाहिँ.
मलाई चाहिँ यो stoic philosophy and more than being a pessimist or यताउति philosophy भन्दाखेरि नि, I feel like stoicism is more real, okay? You know, it's like realism. It's not optimism, it's not pessimism, it's like somewhere in the middle. It's realism, you know. अनि मलाई अर्को यही similar कुरामा it's like conflicting लाग्छ के कुनै कुराहरु चाहिँ stoic philosophy को हैन, जुन चाहिँ like मैले पहिले यो quote भनिरा हुन्छ नि, I think it's from Seneca, है, and he says that the only way to fulfill your desires is to eliminate them भन्छ के. हैन, so अब यस्तो कुराहरुले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ हैन, it's like I think you need to reach a different level to understand like the middle ground, eh? So yeah, maybe we'll get there someday when stoicism, all of it will make sense, you know.
How do you want to connect that to pessimism or optimism though?
Now मलाई चाहिँ अब this is contradicting के like cause that is real के हुन्छ नि that makes sense के because if you have desires हैन desires are things that is outside your control that you want something beyond yourself के हैन and stoic philosophy मा they always say that like you are the only thing that control and like always be in check of what is in your control and what is not in your control के हैन if your desires are the only thing that make you happy your desires are something that is outside your human body and that is outside your control हैन अनि तिमीलाई त्यो desires outside कुराहरुले मात्र खुशी पार्छ भने you're never going to be happy के so the only thing to fulfill your desires is to eliminate your desires as a whole के तिम्रो desires चाहिँ छैन तिम्रो fulfill गर्नु पर्दैन नि त बुझ्यौ so the only way to like actually get rid of your desires you can't ever fulfill your desires okay? Like one day you'll need a bike you would desire a bike another day you desire a car another day you desire another car another day you desire something else another day you desire something more you know so that is infinite okay?
yeah
but then the only thing to get rid of that is के भन्छ to eliminate your desire as a whole okay? So त्यो चाहिँ मलाई यस्तो हिट भएको थियो क्या तर like I don't know man like so what do you don't aspire for a career you don't aspire to have a house you don't aspire to have a relationship you don't aspire to have like what is that like Martin Luther King ko pani हुन्छ I have a dream हुन्छ नि to see हुन्छ नि black men and white men sitting together in a table having हुन्छ त्यो पनि उसको एउटा point of desire त हो नि त हैन maybe it's a kind of a desire त हो नि हैन to desire to see हुन्छ नि उसको रेस र a white race sitting together like that हुन्छ नि so like what do you do okay you eliminate that and then there's no moving forward so I think like हाम्रो desires हरुले गर्दाखेरि नै it keeps us moving जस्तो पनि लाग्छ के कति कुराहरुमा चाहिँ like because you desire to have a एउटा specific type of lifestyle that's what motivates you to work ni ta I know so you know the stoic philosophy is real you know makes sense you know but I don't think I am there yet okay, to accept that completely and practice it okay? So I wouldn't मैले यतिकै मैले त्यो कुरा बुझेर भनेर मात्र हुँदैन के मैले त्यो प्र्याक्टिस गर्ने मेरो अहिले क्षमता म पुगेको छुइन हैन सो म यतिकै गफ हानेर मात्र त्यो कामै छैन हैन so त्यही हो cool
तर what you said man it makes sense about हुन्छ नि तिम्रो जुन चाहिँ यो dilemma छ नि about like should I not desire anything at all मलाई चाहिँ तर when I you've told me about this quote repeatedly you know but I don't connect this with like त्यो I have a dream खालेको desire के मलाई चाहिँ like त्यो desire as in अब फोन चलाउनु पर्ने वाला desire त्यस्तो खालेसँग चाहिँ कनेक्ट गर्छु क्या म so मैले सोच्दाखेरि चाहिँ I never thought about it as हुन्छ नि the desire to see a better world खालेको त्यो वालासँग चाहिँ कनेक्ट गरेको थिएन क्या so त्यसले गर्दा चाहिँ like didn't really think about तिम्रो how you've been thinking about it हैन so it's like मलाई चाहिँ त्यस्तै हुन्छ क्या कतिवटा कुराहरू selectively it goes क्या I don't give into the dichotomy वाला thing क्या either this अब optimism भयो भने each and every कुरामा optimism हुनुपर्छ खालीको it doesn't happen क्या मलाई चाहिँ त्यसरी क्लिक नै हुँदैन क्या I don't know if it's good or bad but yeah man it's like it's confusing क्या to pick a side त्यसरी because there are so many places you can be attacked like तिमीले आफूलाई अट्याक हाने नि अहिले भर्खर
I think you need
about stoicism but that's so real that's so real man like everyone goes through that क्या चाहिन्छ यार
obviously तिमीले you can't just like हुन्छ नि अब if you can't practice it don't preach I know so त्यही हो म I'm not in like म मेरो अहिले stoicism practice गर्ने क्षमता छैन हैन as much as I wish I could I am not intellectually or like emotionally or spiritually there yet है अनि it's something I look up to है it's something I look up to हुन्छ नि Marcus Aurelius को writings अनि Seneca को writings अनि all of those things really really हुन्छ नि like mind expand गर्ने कुराहरू हो के how like
exactly
that is how I aspire to look at life हुन्छ नि and live my life तर अब मैले अहिलेसम्म प्र्याक्टिस गर्न सकेको छैन जतिसुकै मलाई मन परे पनि so I would not मैले त्यसको बारेमा बोल्ने त्यस्तो मलाई म त्यहाँ छु जस्तो लाग्दैन so I would not go into that. What I would go into is the optimism bias. Right? So
okay, let's talk about the optimism bias.
So, okay, getting back into optimism, हामी stoicism को बारेमा अलि धेरै नै हल्का डाइभर्ट भयो हैन तर so talking about optimism is the optimism bias it's a book it's a term हैन तर optimism bias भन्ने book पनि छ written by Tali Sorot भन्ने she is a neuroscientist हैन she is also a psychiatrist अनि उले लेखेको बुक हो हैन अब त्यसमा चाहिँ द अप्टिमिजम बायस भनेको चाहिँ तिमीले आफ्नो लागि चाहिँ तिमीले पोजिटिभ कुराहरू सोध्छ हैन whereas you're not so positive about the person sitting next to you or the person you don't know okay so you're more optimistic about you yourself your family your kids हैन but you're not so optimistic about अरूहरू मान्छेहरू के so that is the optimistic bias के अनि यो optimistic bias को एक्जाम्पल्सहरू दिँदाखेरि चाहिँ अब you see हाम्रै पेरेन्ट्सहरू पनि हैन for हाम्रो पेरेन्ट्स हैन हामीहरू are the best ever के हुन्छ नि स्कुलमा जे जस्तो यताउति भयो पेरेन्ट्स टिचर मिटिङमा गयो भने पनि मेरो छोरा त यस्तो राम्रो कहाँ यति मात्र मार्क्स आउन सक्छ यहाँ त्यहाँ यताउति हुन्छ नि तर त्यही हो like that is the optimism bias के because you always think that you are like better than most people and you are you know your son your daughter your family is better than most people भनेर है and you think positive things towards yourself you okay so the optimism bias is you overestimate positive things for yourself and you underestimate negative things for yourself okay so you underestimate being in a car crash you know you underestimate having like a disease like cancer हुन्छ नि you underestimate bad things whereas you overestimate suppose तिमीले केसैमा पार्टिसिपेट गर्यो भने you would overestimate to win okay so you would overestimate good things for yourself हैन so that is the optimism bias so यसमा चाहिँ उले अति धेरै एक्जाम्पल्सहरू दिन्छ हैन अब it is very widely known that the divorce rates in the western world is एकदमै high हुन्छ नि so 2 out of 5 marriages end up in divorce that is around 40% है अनि eastern world मा पनि I think the divorce rates would be same हैन or higher but then I think मलाई यो eastern worlds हरुमा चाहिँ the divorce को taboo ले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ मान्छेहरुले like divorce गर्दैन हैन so though the divorce rates are not high I don't think there's like एकदमै proper functioning marriages हरु छ जस्तो चाहिँ लाग्दैन but then let's talk about what we have in hand the stats हैन so knowing that you know 40% of all marriages end up in divorce if you ask a newlywed couple like what is their percentage of getting like what is the likelihood of them getting a divorce is like ekdamai most of them like 90% of them while they're getting married they'll say like 0% bhancha ke but then like that's not possible nita because like statistically speaking the 40% like some of them will get divorced nita so this also proves that like most of the people are very positive towards themselves but if you ask somebody else and then who's in their marriage do you think they will end up in divorce one day maybe they'd say yes okay so that is the optimism bias once I know and similarly if you ask people to rate themselves world ko top 25% ma if you had to rate yourself would you rate yourself like according to your driving skills your attractiveness how interesting you are how modest you are 80% of the people would rate themselves as like being at the top 25% okay? So having like better driving skills being the most attractive being like the most interesting kind of food no? But that is not numerically possible nita. Not everybody can be better than everybody else you know so this is how we are the optimism bias okay
so what do you think is it better to overestimate your driving skills and your beauty and your intelligence and be hit in the face by the world by the cruel world or would you be pessimistic and be happy when real things happen.
So
like, do you think the optimism bias is better than?
No, अब मलाई यसमा चाहिँ अब कस्तो लाग्छ भन्दाखेरि हैन, if you have most people have this optimistic bias, you know, you say like innate human nature ma nai ho, you know, अब people who suffer from depression and anxiety, your optimism bias नभएर नै हो हैन. अनि so if you have यो हुन्छ नि optimism bias भएर नि, like you are more likely to think हुन्छ नि I can do things भनेर के हैन, you're more likely to go for that के भन्ने you're more likely to opt for that job. Even if you're not qualified, you will like think that you are qualified and you will opt for that job, okay? Rather than being a pessimist. And pessimist the more सक्दिन, I am not qualified, so more apply नै गर्दिन भनेर they don't apply at all, you know. Optimists even if they're not qualified, they will apply, and somewhat if they get it, okay? बुझ्यो? So it actually works as a benefit, you know. And अर्को assumption हुन्छ नि जुन चाहिँ the secret to happiness is having low expectations. तिमीले भनेको जस्तो के. So the idea behind this is if you have low expectations, तिमीले सुरुमा नै like केही पनि expect गरेन भने when नराम्रो कुरा like केही पनि हुँदैन, you're not surprised. When you're not like that is what you expected because you already had low expectations. But when something does like good happens, you are surprised, and that is like a bonus खाले के. तर हैन, this is proven to be wrong है. त्यो बुकमा चाहिँ like she says that this is not यसले चाहिँ तिमीलाई खुसी बनाउँदैन. Actually हैन, तिमी optimistic भएर even if you have higher expectations ले नै तिमीलाई खुसी बनाउँछ भन्छ क्या. So higher expectations ले not just the fulfillment भएर disappointment ले मात्र होइन कि if you have higher expectations, तिमी त्यो expectations ले गर्दा मात्र पनि you are more likely to be happy भन्छ क्या. So यसमा चाहिँ अनि अर्को
okay, just because I'm like expecting that
something good is going to happen,
expectations and
यसमा चाहिँ something good is going to happen भनेर त expect गर्ने नै is a good thing के. So a behavioral economist does this experiment. His name is George Laustein, हैन. अनि उले चाहिँ he asks his students and he asks everybody that if you could get a kiss from your favorite celebrity, हैन, in like right now, in a day, in 3 days, in 1 month, 1 year, and 10 years, हैन, how much are you like willing to pay? Like so how much are you willing to pay, and what's the most you're willing to pay on what day once again? And so most of the people are willing to pay the highest to get a kiss from their favorite celebrity on the 3rd day, okay? You know, not like a year after or like 10 years after, because nobody wants to, I know, like kiss like titi long, but then they don't want it right now, okay? You would expect that people like you would pay the highest to like kiss right now, but then I think like 3 days is like the optimum, so that the kiss one happening for the 3 days, like you think about the kiss, you have butterflies, and then you anticipate how it's gonna happen, you anticipate what it's gonna feel like, and that is what leads to being happy. Okay? So optimists or yo kura cha ni. So if I have a positive outlook towards the future, you know, if I anticipate good things are going to happen to me, the anticipation itself is gonna make you happy. Okay? बुझ्यौ?
मैले पनि लाइक यो पढेको थिएँ यो वाला रिसर्च चाहिँ about how they choose the 3rd day अनि त्यो एन्टिसिपेसनले it fuels them खालेको. But
this is also
that's being optimistic.
This is also the reason why people prefer Fridays over Sundays के हुन्छ नि. अब नेपालमा त Saturdays भनौँ न हैन. So nobody is looking forward to Saturday, but everybody is looking forward to Friday, because Friday you looking forward to the plans that you have on Saturday.
Back on the weekend.
But then like
Saturday भयो भने त अब सुरु भयो नि त week.
Exactly. The only thing you have to look forward to on Saturday is the weekdays. Okay? So this is exactly how मलाई चाहिँ this is exactly how optimism and pessimism work जस्तो लाग्छ के. You know, because optimist people ले चाहिँ जहिले पनि अगाडि weekends छ हुन्छ नि, अगाडि kissesहरू छ, अगाडि राम्रो कुराहरू छ भनेर हेर्छ हैन. अनि त्यो anticipation ले नै they have a more positive, more happy, more well-being भएको life के. Whereas pessimistहरूले चाहिँ they look forward, like they know the reality that Saturday एक दिन मात्र हुन्छ, whereas म अर्को 6 दिन मलाई काम गर्नुपर्छ भनेर they look forward to that के, they have that in mind हुन्छ नि. So होइन, I mean like realistically they have that in mind अनि that is what they're not like हुन्छ नि के भन्ने hyper excited about things.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
About makes sense how the anticipation that butterfly in stomach is what people would anticipate for. But I don't know, man.
Butterfly in the stomach is the good feeling ni ta.
Yeah, exactly. तर आज ठक्क म भाइसँग कुरा गरिरहेको थिएँ optimistic pessimistic वाला हैन अनि I asked him like, are you an optimistic or a pessimistic भनेर सोधेँ अनि त्यसले I was an optimistic until I got rejected रे के. And I feel like that's the case with most of the things. You anticipate the butterfly in stomach until it becomes a disappointment for you. Okay?
No, तर यस्तो हुन्छ अप्टिमिस्टहरूले चाहिँ छ नि होइन, जस्तो तिम्रो भाइले सी गट रिजेक्टेड नि होइन, अब अप्टिमिस्टहरूले चाहिँ इफ लाइक प्रपर अब अप्टिमिस्टकै कुरा गर्ने भयो नि ही वुड बी लाइक हुन्छ नि अब त्यो केटी हाउडे थियो होला खालि हुन्छ क्या, बुझ्यो. If I get rejected from a job, it's like तिनीहरू criteria did not meet me, मेरो work गर्ने style जस्तो हुन्छ क्या, बुझ्यो.
But bro, it's like it's not मलाई चाहिँ यो पेसिमिजममा हुन्छ नि लाइक त्यो इभेन्ट भइसकेपछि पेसिमिस्ट हुने पेसिमिस्ट होइन क्या, अगाडिदेखि नै हुन्छ नि okay, there are possibilities that I will get this, there are possibilities that I won't get this भन्ने कुरा हो क्या. It's not like हुन्छ नि ल अप्टिमिस्टिक भयो अनि त्यसपछि लाइक त्यो भइसकेपछि चाहिँ ल म किन यस्तो म किन त्यस्तो त्यो होइन क्या. When you start your work त्यति बेला नै you're aware of the consequences, you're aware of the downfalls क्या. And for that one you don't have high expectations, so you won't get as disappointed as the optimistic, and second is you prepare for the worst क्या. So what are the chances of you failing in that? So pessimism हुनु चाहिँ मलाई लाइक त्यो हिसाबले चाहिँ is being pessimistic क्या. It's not like त्यो rejection पाएपछि चाहिँ pessimism हुनु is not pessimism क्या.
I think you're referring more to being like a realist भनौँ न. So म चाहिँ अर्को यो जुन चाहिँ हुन्छ नि त्यही बिङ यो अघि मैले जुन चाहिँ optimism biasको कुरा गरिरहेको थिएँ नि होइन, अनि त्यसको चाहिँ द राइटर अल्सो टक्स अबाउट हाउ द optimism bias क्यान अल्सो प्ले एज अ त्यो डिल्युजनल पनि बनाउँछ कि टु मच अप्टिमिजम भयो भने होइन. अनि यसमा चाहिँ लाइक दे डिड अ एक्सपेरिमेन्ट वेयर हाम्रो अब न्युरो साइन्टिस्ट हो होइन, अनि सी टक्स अ लट अबाउट हाउ द ब्रेन वर्क्स एन्ड एभ्रिथिङ. अनि त्यसमा चाहिँ सी टक्स अबाउट एक्सपेरिमेन्ट द्याट दे डिड, जसमा चाहिँ इफ यु गिभ हुन्छ नि गुड न्युज टु समबडी, लाइक तिमीलाई राम्रो कुरा भन्यो भने यो लेफ्ट लोबको यता फ्रन्टल लोबमा लाइक त्यो ग्लो हुन्छ अरे के होइन. अनि वेयरएज तिमीलाई ब्याड न्युजहरू दियो भने तिम्रो राइट लोबमा ग्लो हुन्छ होइन. सो अब अप्टिमिस्टहरूको चाहिँ के थियो भन्दा प्रब्लम, तिम्रो गुड न्युज दियो भने त दुवैजनाको ग्लो हुन्छ, पेसिमिस्टको नि अप्टिमिस्टहरूको नि होइन. ब्याड न्युज दियो भने चाहिँ पेसिमिस्टहरूको ओभरली ग्लो हुने र अप्टिमिस्टहरूले चाहिँ ब्याड न्युज प्रोसेसै नगर्ने के, बुझेन. सो तिमीलाई
ब्याड न्युज नै प्रोसेस नगर्ने,
उनीहरूले प्रोसेस भन्दा नि हल्का इग्नोरेन्ट हुने के. सो इफ somebody tells you that तिम्रो के भयो, it's like you have a very slim chance of हुन्छ नि winning a competition भनेर तिमीलाई भन्यो अरे, तर but the optimist still would be like हुन्छ नि like he will be like होइन म जितिहाल्छु नि खाले हुन्छ क्या, बुझ्यो. अनि that is what leads to delusional कुराहरू के. So it's the same thing about अब this can lead to कुनै केसेसहरूमा चाहिँ अति हार्मफुल हुनसक्छ क्या. सपोज an optimist है is I don't know getting his own startup going होइन, अनि it's a pretty bad idea अरे होइन हुन्छ नि, it's a pretty bad idea अरे, तर he is very optimistic हुन्छ नि, and he is very optimistic about the idea and he thinks that someday it's going to work, and he's pouring his money and everybody's giving him bad news हुन्छ नि, it's not going to work. Be हल्का when you think about it, like नेपाल जस्तो ठाउँमा यस्तो कुरा काम गर्दैन, तैँले यति पैसा अलरेडी खर्च गरिसकिस् हुँदैन भनेर. बट लाइक हुन्छ नि त्यो अप्टिमिस्टिक त्यो हुन्छ नि ओभर अप्टिमिस्टिक भएर you end up pouring a lot of money and losing a lot of money. So that is very dangerous, okay? You know? So being optimistic is euda kura, but then like being delusional is completely different, okay? So there's a fine line being optimist and being completely delusional, okay? जे कुरा पनि राम्रो हुन्छ अहिलेको लागि मात्र हो. अहिले फर्स्ट फेजमा त सबै स्टार्टअप्सहरूले गाह्रो हुन्छ होइन. अब फ्युचरमा गएर त एकदम राम्रो हुने हो. फ्युचरमा गएर त म त वाइल्ड होइन, म पनि जेफ बेजोस नेपाली होइन यान त्यान भनेर सबै नेपाली अन्टरप्रेन्योरहरूको आई थिङ्क त्यही नै हुन्छ मेन्टालिटी. बट देन burst their apple, it's not burst their whatever, you know, that is not how it works, right? So I think like the
Nepali entrepreneurs are like wild this on there.
I know the Nepali entrepreneurs are ekdamai they feel like they're a superstar, okay? Whereas it's not exactly the case, man. I know abo kune ko hola, but then realistically fucking like 0. something% entrepreneurs matra would actually make it that big, right? So about mo pani I'm nobody to speak, but that's just the stats, man.
Yeah.
So त्यही हो हुन्छ नि. अब अप्टिमिस्टहरूले चाहिँ त्यो ब्याड न्युज प्रोसेस गर्दैन. जस्ट नट जस्ट ब्याड न्युज, ब्याड कुराहरू पनि के ब्याड स्ट्याट्सहरू पनि प्रोसेस गर्दैन. एन्ड दे थिङ्क द्याट एभ्रिथिङ इज गोइङ टु वर्क आउट फर देम के. सो उनीहरूले चाहिँ त्यो रियलिस्टिक कुराहरूबाट टाढा 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 लग्छ क्या. सो आई थिङ्क तिमीले जुन चाहिँ पेसिमिजमको कुरा गर्यो नि, पेसिमिजम चाहिँ आई थिङ्क किप्स यु इन चेक अफ द्याट के.
Yeah.
बुझ्यो? So
pessimism, bro, like if you think about it, even Buddhism, okay? It's like if you like read the 4 noble truths of Buddhism, exactly. The first noble truth is life is suffering. Yeah, life is suffering. If you're existing, you're suffering.
Exactly.
So that is like so pessimistic if you think about it. But like the monks, they are so happy, they're so peace, they're so calm, they're so composed, you know. So like my grandmom pani Buddhist ho ni ta. Ani so we do a lot of esto like grandmom le chai pala dekhi धेरै गर्नुहुन्थ्यो के यस्तो तारा पूजा टाइप्स हुन्छ के डेली अलमोस्ट एन्टायर डे नै हुन्छ होला त्यो पूजा हैन. अनि पहिला बच्चा हुँदाखेरि गरेको आई रिमेम्बर के. अनि हाम्रो घरमा गरेको बेला चाहिँ सो अब पूजा सकेपछि यु मेक सम अफरिङ्स, यु मेक फुड खालेको नि त. अब पूजा भएको भएर चाहिँ वी मेड एभ्रिथिङ भेजिटेरियन यस्तो यस्तो होइन. अनि मङ्क्सहरूसँग कुरा गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ देयर लाइक अब वी थट अब हामीले चाहिँ भेजिटेरियन फुड प्रिपेयर गर्यो तपाईँहरूको लागि भनेर भन्यो. अनि दे टोल्ड अस द्याट हुन्छ नि दे इट मिट पनि लाइक बिफ चिकन वाट एभर हुन्छ नि, वाट एभर इज अफर दे टेक इट भनेर भन्यो क्या. बिकज दे हेभ टु ट्राभल नि त. अब म्यानमार गएर हुन्छ, इन्डिया गएर हुन्छ, थाइल्यान्ड कता कता पुगेर हुन्छ होइन. अनि लाइक पिपल वाट एभर दे अफर यु टेक द्याट भनेर भन्छ क्या. उनीहरूले चाहिँ त्यस्तो भनेको थियो क्या. बिकज लाइफ नै यस्तो सफरिङ हो. एन्ड टु हेभ द्याट प्रिभिलेज टु हुन्छ नि एक्चुली इट अ मिल, यु कान्ट रियली कम्प्लेन. Like when you're like suffering your entire life, what's the point of complaining? खालेको त्यो philosophy थियो. I was like, oh my god, like हुन्छ नि क्या म त क्या मेरो माइन्डले त एकछिन त्यो प्रोसेस नै गर्न नसकेको क्या. त्यति बेला हुन्छ नि क्या लाइक कस्तो प्रोफाउन्ड फिलोसफी खालेको फिल भएको थियो क्या. हाउ हुन्छ नि यस्तो पेसिमिस्ट कुरालाई पनि दे टुक इट सच अ पोजिटिभ टर्न भनेर क्या. सो yeah, even though that's like one of the most pessimistic philosophies, pessimistic principles to have, it's still so beautiful, okay? Even अब यो हुन्छ नि तिमीले भन्यो नि अब optimism को चाहिँ extreme would be delusional, being very naive, being very ignorant हैन. Pessimism को is nihilism हुन्छ नि. Nihilism चाहिँ त्यो extreme हुन्छ क्या.
Pessimism leads to having a lot of depression and anxiety issues, man. एकदमै बेसी
त्यो त लाइक इफेक्ट्स भयो नि त. इफेक्ट्सहरू खालि भयो नि त. सो लाइक पेसिमिस्ट भएपछि चाहिँ यु बिकम निहिलिस्टिक क्या अझै. लाइक नथिङ मेक सेन्स. मलाई त यो निहिलिजमवाला आइडिया चाहिँ probably I got an influence through BoJack Horseman पनि होला है. Existential nihilism, obviously like there are a lot of branches of nihilism पनि. Yeah, existential nihilism भन्छ क्या. त्यो चाहिँ लाइक हुन्छ नि nothing makes sense, you're just a tiny dust particle in this entire universe. तिमी एकचोटि आँखा चिम्लेर एकचोटि आँखा खोल्यो भने that's how much you live in this entire universe भन्ने कन्सेप्ट हो क्या. बुझेन? It's like so if you think about it, like त्यो सुन्यो भने त like कसम लाइक एकछिन डिप्रेस्ड नै हुन्छ क्या. like timro existence doesn't make any sense. Like think about it. Etro like planet ma which is like roaming around another bubble of gas with another couple of planets tyo pani arko Milky Way ma, like it's so big, it's beyond our comprehension, it's beyond our imagination ke. Ani त्यत्रो ठुलो युनिभर्समा like तिम्रो existence is so meaningless ke. मेरो existence is so meaningless ke. Bro, I know.
मेरो दिमाग नदुखाऊ यार.
But अहिलेको like but अहिलेको there's this new concept ni optimistic nihilism भन्ने.
Yeah.
And it takes the same philosophy, you know.
Takes the same philosophy and turns it around ke.
Exactly. Timro existence is meaningless. Like you don't make any sense. Like तिमी बिहान उठ्छ, फ्रेश हुन्छ, काम जान्छ, फर्किन्छ, खान्छ, सुत्छ, फेरि उठ्छ, फेरि फ्रेश हुन्छ, अफिस जान्छ, खान्छ, सुत्छ. Like what's the biggie खालेको हैन. तिमी you are like meaningless. You're literally meaningless भन्छ. But since everything is meaningless, so is your problems ke. So are your difficulties in life ke. They're also meaningless ke. They also don't make any sense. No one is going to remember it in the long run खालेको कुरा के.
Exactly.
Ani since nothing has meaning, since the universe does not operate in one principle, you make your own principles once and So remember we talked about how much left is left wala kura.
Oh my, yeah.
It aligns here again.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, nihilism.
Please explain the how much left is left wala concept.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about it, maybe like our listeners or they don't know about it.
So the optimistic nihilism ko bare ma alikati I'll add, then we can talk about how much left is left. So the optimistic nihilism go say it made like so much sense to me. अब जस्तै अब pessimistic nihilism मा चाहिँ अब कस्तो खाले कुरा जान्छ भने अब we are all just roaming around in this big world, nothing makes sense. हामी सबै like हुन्छ नि अब the earth has been here like for 1 billion years हुन्छ नि अनि like it's going to be there for another couple of billion years. अनि यो specific like हुन्छ नि few thousand years को लागि मात्र the earth is habitable and is suitable for humans to survive के for a couple of thousand years मात्रै हो के हैन. So after that like हुन्छ नि हाम्रो human existence पनि is like gone हैन. So what's the use of working, what's the use of doing anything good like हुन्छ नि जे भए पनि like उ हो. But then optimistic nihilism is the reverse के अब तिमीले जे मिस्टेक गरे पनि it's all going to be forgotten, nobody's going to remember anything हैन. तिमीले जतिसुकै like नराम्रो काम गरे पनि तिमीले जतिसुकै मिस्टेक गरे पनि त्यो हुने हो. So why not like take this time and make the best out of it, have a good, like हुन्छ नि happy life हुन्छ नि just have fun खाले के त्यही. So then comes the how much left is left ko kura. So whenever we talk about being like के भन्छ त्यसलाई conservative and being liberal, so like right or left हुन्छ नि अनि we were talking about this अनि being अति liberal पनि like हुन्छ नि how left is left भनेर के how left is too left के like
exactly. If you think about optimism, wild optimistic भयो भने you become delusional.
Yeah, while pessimistic भयो भने you become like
exactly
like severely depressed, man. You're gonna have you're gonna have existential like crisis and like
existential
that's actually gonna be very very harmful for you and it will lead to some serious damage in like mentally, physically, and everything. You know. And whereas being too optimistic will also lead you to do some, you know, एकदमै हावा कुराहरु है.
Yeah.
So
I feel like your nihilism सम्म पुगिसकेपछि चाहिँ it's like taking a positive turn हुन्छ नि. So I'm like bro, nihilism को next level is optimism जस्तो क्या.
Yeah,
so it's like moving in circles के.
हामीले पनि त्यही कुरा गरेको थियो के हुन्छ नि जुन त्यो लेफ्ट र राइट को कुरा छ नि हैन. What if it is in a circle हुन्छ नि. What if you go too left you come around to the right के. What if like यही कुरा हुन्छ नि तिमी अति pessimist भएर nihilist भयो, nihilist भएपछि you come around and become like optimistic nihilist. So
oh.
maybe that's a Dhikichyau
No, wait.
theory.
I think so.
Yeah.
But like I remember attending this one workshop, and it talked about how life moves in spirals. I don't exactly remember. के थियो हैन तर like moves in spiral चाहिँ क्या. So तिम्रो यो spiral हुन्छ नि. Spiral भएपछि चाहिँ there are different steps of the spiral रे हैन. अब फर्स्टमा let's talk about being optimistic, अनि optimistic भएपछि delusional भएर हुन्छ नि you become ल अब ओके त्यो रिजेक्सन वाला कुरा आएर हुन्छ नि you become pessimistic, अनि pessimistic बाट nihilistic भयो, and then you come around to again being optimistic नि त. But this time it's not going to be the same optimism रे क्या. It's going to be a different level of optimism. So it's going to go in spiral रे क्या. It's not going to go in circles, because if circles मै गयो भने त same कुरा नै repeat हुने भयो नि त, and that doesn't make any sense नि त. But like if you're going in spirals, the next time you're optimistic, त्यो phase मा हुँदाखेरि चाहिँ you're like next level optimism खालेको क्या.
Makes sense.
So things move in spiral भनेको थियो क्या. अनि मलाई क्या क्लिक भएको थियो क्या त्यो कुरा.
Makes sense.
Exactly. We started talking about pessimism and optimism, and here we are finding common ground.
Oh yeah.
Me finding some solace in being optimistic and you being a little pessimistic हुन्छ नि.
Yeah, मलाई चाहिँ त्यो optimistic pessimistic भन्दा चाहिँ I truly believe you need to have a positive outlook towards your future, but you have to be realistic about it. Okay, so मलाई चाहिँ त्यो pessimistic भन्दा चाहिँ I will calm down like दुवै optimist र real, like optimism र pessimism दुवै real छ जस्तो लाग्दैन के मलाई. दुवै is हल्का हुन्छ नि नहुने कुरा. So I think you need to calm down in the middle and be realistic about things. Have realistic expectations, have realistic outlook towards life, हुन्छ नि, and just work towards having a good life, right?
Because at the end of the day, the only thing you want is to be happy. I know.
Yeah.
So find happiness.
Find happiness. ल मलाई एउटा सानो कुरा चाहिँ मलाई एकदमै इन्ट्रेस्टिङ कुरा मैले रिसर्च गर्दाखेरि पत्ता लगाएको थिएँ. आई थिङ्क वी हेभ कम टु द काइन्ड अफ द एन्ड अफ दिस पडकास्ट. तर मैले यो हिजो चाहिँ अति इन्ट्रेस्टिङ लागेको थियो कि मैले पत्ता लगाउँदाखेरि. सो देयर इज समथिङ कल्ड लर्न अप्टिमिजम होइन. लर्न अप्टिमिजम भन्ने बुक नै हो होइन, मार्टिन सिलिगम्यानले लेखेको. अनि त्यसमा चाहिँ हि टक्स अबाउट लर्न्ड हेल्पलेसनेस र लर्न्ड अप्टिमिजम के. So learned helplessness would be like there's an experiment described in the book, whereas एउटा कुकुरलाई हुन्छ नि एउटा बक्समा राख्छ होइन, अनि कुकुर ए र कुकुर बीलाई बक्समा राख्छ होइन. कुकुर एलाई चाहिँ होइन दे सक हिम, लाइक इलेक्ट्रिक सक लाइक सानो दिन्छ, बट लाइक जे गरे पनि हि इज नट अलाउड टु लिभ द्याट केज के. सो आफ्टर अ सर्टन पिरियड अफ टाइम द डग गिभ्स अप एन्ड हि जस्ट एक्सेप्ट्स द सक्स के होइन.
Oh, what? Accepts the shock? Like still goes on trying to like get the shock.
Like यस्तो हुन्छ कि सुरुमा shock दिन्छ, obviously like he tries his best to get out होइन, तर after a certain time there is no way he can escape, so he like gives up के. बुझ्यौ?
ए ओके, I thought like फेरि आफूलाई shock हाने गरे for no reason.
होइन, shock.
Okay, he just like stays in without even trying.
Without even trying, because he's tried अनि त्यहाँबाट निस्किनु मिलेन. Whereas त्यो सेकेन्ड केसमा चाहिँ होइन उनीहरूले सक दिन्छ, then they allow the dog to escape के होइन. सो देन अब दुवैजनाले अर्को बक्समा राख्छ, त्यो अर्को बक्स चाहिँ दुइटै बक्स खोल्नु मिल्छ क्या. तर वेयरएज त्यो कुकुर एलाई कुकुर त्यो नेक्स्ट बक्समा राख्दाखेरि चाहिँ होइन, लाइक वेन दे सक द डग he does not even try to escape के, because he has learned helplessness के. Whereas the doggy number B will like हुन्छ नि फेरि सक गर्यो he will escape के. बुझ्यो? So this is what he describes in the book as learned helplessness होइन. And so this is the case with many people as well के. हुन्छ नि कति केसेसहरूमा चाहिँ they can't go out, they can't do certain things होइन, and they learn that they can't do it जस्तो के. बुझ्यो? Even if in the next situation it's like much better and they have a more chance of doing things, like they just choose not to के. They just choose not to भन्दा नि they just don't believe in themselves that they can do it भनेर के. बुझ्यो so this is a really practical thing that like it happens in real life as well हुन्छ नि you do learn to be helpless के that's how like so many people act हुन्छ नि so many people act as in like they've been through a certain hard situation अनि they've accepted it हुन्छ नि त्यस्तै हो खाले भनेर and then अर्को situation when it's completely different भए पनि they process it in the same way हैन so यसरी नै learned optimism
like, life has treated them that way
so यसरी नै learned optimism भन्ने पनि हुन्छ के so learned optimism चाहिँ you believe that like good things are going to happen to you and त्यसरी नै you do good things अनि त्यसरी नै उ हुन्छ के मलाई यो learned optimism को बारेमा चाहिँ कसरी उ भयो भन्दाखेरि मेरो पर्सनल लाइफमा पनि I remember when I was like 12 or something I used to study in Bangalore हैन त्यति बेला अब हामीलाई चाहिँ स्पोर्ट्स कम्पलसरी हुन्थ्यो क्या सो वी ह्याड टु चुज अ सर्टन स्पोर्ट अनि हामीलाई चाहिँ त्यो एभ्री सिङ्गल डे 2 घन्टा चाहिँ लाइक वी वुड बी असाइन टु अ सर्टन कोच अनि वी ह्याड टु डु इट के सो लाइक फुटबल बास्केटबल एन्ड लाइक यु नेम इट टेनिस सेनिस सबै हुन्थ्यो क्या आई वाज लाइक अ भेरी लेजी फ्याट चबी किड होइन अनि आई जस्ट वान्टेड टु चिल इन द पुल के सो मैले चाहिँ आई चोज स्विमिङ होइन सो I chose swimming के म बिकज आई वाज लेजी होइन तर लिटल टु माई नलेज हाम्रो स्विमिङ कोच वाज लाइक अति स्ट्रिक्ट होइन अनि एकदमै नै वाइल्ड थियो क्या सो स्विमिङ पुलमा यत्तिकै त बस्नै नदिने क्या हुन्छ नि सो आई रिमेम्बर the day I stepped in the swimming pool, I didn't even know how to swim. 6 months from that day, I was competed in the states competition. Okay? Under 12 states, Karnataka, I compete. I got a bronze medal in 50 meters freestyle. So like from not knowing how to swim in 6 months to competing in like a state championship was, that was kind of a learned optimism for me. Okay? Because I was never a kind of kid who would think I could not do things. Okay? बुझ्यो लाइक त्यति बेला लाइक दो आई वेन्ट देयर टु चिल बट आई लाइक हुन्छ नि मलाई हल्का अलिकति सपोर्ट पाएपछि आई वाज लाइक आई क्यान डु इट खालि देन आई कम्पिटेड द्याट त्यो गर्न थालेँ अनि त्यसपछि नेपाल आएर पनि आई कम्पिटेड यता पनि हल्का हल्का होइन अनि देन आफ्टर द्याट मेरो एकाडेमिक्स वर रियली रियली ब्याड अनि त्यसपछि लाइक क्लास 9मा म यता फर्केपछि एसएलसीको बेलामा प्रिपेयर गर्नुको लागि 8वटा सब्जेक्टमा I failed in 6 subjects. Okay? So I had an average of 50% जस्तो मेरो लाइक हुन्छ नि सेकेन्ड डिभिजन आउँथ्यो कि जहिले पनि मेरो फर्स्ट डिभिजन पनि आएको थिएन होइन सो द्याट 1 इयरमा म क्लास 10th मा हुँदाखेरि आई काइन्ड अफ यु नो अप्टिमिस्टिक थिएँ क्या म होइन एसएलसीमा त म राम्रो गर्छु खाली थिएँ क्या अनि लाइक आफ्टर 4 years मैले एसएलसीमा 76% कि समथिङ 76% ल्याएको थिएँ क्या बुझ्यो सो आई वाज अप्टिमिस्टिक द्याट आई कुड डु इट अनि लाइक इट वाज अ लर्न्ड अप्टिमिजम बिकज मैले पहिले पनि लाइक स्विमिङ पनि त्यस्तै नै भयो नि त बुझ्यो लाइक इट वाज लाइक अ लर्न्ड अप्टिमिजम
बट ब्रो लाइक तिमी त त्यस भयो त युआर द डगी नम्बर बी नि त
या आई काइन्ड अफ भनौँ न
होइन एक्ज्याक्टली बट लाइक डगी नम्बर ए को द स्याड पार्ट इज उसको लागि त्यो इन्टायर सिचुएसन इन्टायर उसको अब के भन्ने लाइक लाइफ ट्रिटेड उसलाई त्यसरी नि त इन द्याट केस द जसले एक्सपेरिमेन्ट गरिरहेको थियो उनीहरूले दे ट्रिटेड हिम त्यसरी नि त सो हाउ डज द्याट डगी नम्बर ए बिकम
आई थिङ्क
डगी नम्बर बी जस्तो
अब मलाई यो जुन चाहिँ एकाडेमिक्सको मैले सेकेन्डको कुरा गरेँ नि होइन मैले अब एकाडेमिक्स आई वाज गोइङ अन थ्रु आउट द अल माई लाइफै भनौँ न होइन हाम्रो त होइन अनि सो पहिले पनि म सानो हुँदाखेरि 5, 6, 7, 8मा हुँदाखेरि पनि एकाडेमिकमा कहिले पनि एक्सेल गर्नु सक्थेन क्या तर मेरो एउटा ढोका खुल्यो नि त बुझेन मैले एकचोटि ल मैले त चाहेँ भने मैले गर्नु सक्दो रहेछ भनेर मैले जुन चाहिँ त्यो एउटा बिलिभ भयो नि इफ आई क्यान थिङ्क अबाउट थिङ्स होइन द्याट आई क्यान डु अनि मैले साँच्चै गर्नु सक्दो रहेछ भनेर त्यो एउटा अकम्प्लिसमेन्टले चाहिँ मलाई एकाडेमिकली पनि हेल्प गरे हो क्या
पुश गर्यो
क्या बुझ्यो
ओके सो लाइक बच्चा बेलादेखि नै यु आर लाइक रियली नराम्रो इन स्टडिज बट देन अनि लाइक सिन्स यु आर लाइक भेरी नराम्रो यु डिडन्ट वान्टेड टु गिभ मच एफर्ट इन लाइक स्पोर्ट्स अल्सो द्याट्स वाइ यु चुज स्विमिङ बट लाइक त्यो optimistic push paera you could do it and that is how you applied it to academics
so त्यसपछि पनि kind of snowballed हुन्छ नि म A level जाँदाखेरि पनि I did well हैन अनि म BBA मा हुँदाखेरि पनि I did pretty well हैन so from never academically
Valedictorian.
excel गर्ने kid to being like one of like अलिकति राम्रै kids भनौँ न. So
To being the valedictorian.
yeah. So I would credit that to being like the optimistic learned optimism भन्छु क्या म अहिले चाहिँ मलाई मेरो आफ्नो लागि चाहिँ के it was the same thing with हुन्छ नि के भन्ने अरू aspects of life पनि के like when I started making videos पनि I think it was the same thing के I started making videos like I don't know 2-3 years ago हैन मलाई त्यति बेला भिडियो खिच्नु पनि आउँथेन के तर I was optimistic about it के I was like I can do it हुन्छ नि यसले त गर्न सक्छ भने म पनि गर्न सक्छु खाले दिमागमा हुन्छ नि तर त्यो भन्दा पनि I was optimistic that I could do it अनि I think like the same thing हुन्छ नि मैले चाहे भने मैले गर्न सक्छु खाले फिलिङ थियो के अनि त्यसले पनि it helped me learn हैन so I think if you're learning something new if you go in with the optimistic point of view that हुन्छ नि if I want to learn I can do it भन्ने कुरा that really helps मेरो लागि चाहिँ it really does help
so that was that on optimism and pessimism. It was our personal take how हामीलाई कसरी help गर्यो optimism ले and pessimism ले. So if you guys have any stories regarding the optimistic view and or pessimistic view, please comment it in the comment bar below and let us know how your thoughts are. Let us know your thoughts on Azuko podcast.
And
like, share and subscribe to our channel
and be real.
See you on
Dhikichyau the podcast.
Yeah man, Azuko like huncha ni exactly the key takeaway would be to be realistic or like rather than picking optimistic and pessimistic. Like Dhikichyau between optimism and pessimism, but like land somewhere in between, maybe with realism.
Alright, so
but at least now you know the ups and downs of.
That's it. So we'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye bye.